Rapunzel, the girl in the tower, a magical story of love and freedom. Have you ever wanted something so badly that it changed your whole life? Sometimes a single wish can lead to something beautiful, but sometimes it can start a story full of danger, magic, and heartbreak. And that's exactly how the story of Rapunzel begins. Long ago, there lived a man and a woman who dreamed of having a child. For many years, they waited and hoped, but nothing happened. They prayed every day and wished with all their hearts. Then one day, the woman believed their wish would finally come true. Behind their house, there was a small window. From that window, the woman could see a beautiful garden. It was full of flowers, green herbs, and bright plants. The garden looked fresh and alive, but there was one problem. A very powerful enchantress owned the garden. A tall wall surrounded it, and everyone in the town feared the woman who lived there. No one dared enter her garden. One afternoon, the woman stood by the window and looked down into that forbidden place. And then she saw it. A bed of beautiful green rampion plants, also called Rapunzel. The leaves looked fresh, bright, and delicious. The woman suddenly felt a strong desire to eat them. The feeling grew stronger every day. Soon she could think about nothing else. She became pale and weak. She barely ate and looked very unhappy. Her husband became worried. "What is wrong, my dear?" he asked gently. The woman sighed and said, "If I cannot eat some of the rampion from that garden behind our house, I feel I will die." Her husband loved her deeply. He could not bear to see her suffer like this. So that evening, when the sun began to set, he made a dangerous decision. He climbed over the high wall and quietly entered the enchantress's garden. His heart beat fast with fear. He quickly pulled up a handful of rampion and hurried home. His wife made a small salad with the leaves and ate it eagerly. It tasted fresh and wonderful. But the next day, her desire became even stronger. She needed more. So the husband returned to the garden again the following evening. But this time, he was not alone. Just as he climbed down from the wall, a voice spoke behind him. "How dare you enter my garden?" The enchantress stood there, her eyes cold and angry. "You steal my plants like a thief. You will suffer for this." The frightened man fell to his knees. "Please," he begged. "My wife saw your rampion and wanted it so badly that she became sick. I feared she might die. That is the only reason I came." The enchantress looked at him carefully. Slowly, her anger softened. "If your story is true," she said, "I will let you take as much rampion as you want." The man felt great relief, but the enchantress continued. "There is only one condition." The man froze. "When your wife has her baby, you must give the child to me." The man was terrified, but fear controlled his thoughts. He agreed. Soon after, the woman gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. The enchantress appeared immediately. She took the child and gave her a name, Rapunzel, and then she carried the baby away. Rapunzel grew into the most beautiful child anyone could imagine. Her hair shone like golden thread in the sunlight. When Rapunzel turned 12 years old, the enchantress made another strange decision. She locked the girl inside a tall tower deep in the forest. The tower had no door, no stairs, no way to enter. Only a single small window high at the top. Whenever the enchantress wanted to visit, she stood below the tower and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me." Rapunzel's hair was incredibly long. When she heard the voice, she untied her golden braids and lowered them out the window. The hair fell down the side of the tower like a shining rope. The enchantress climbed up using the hair, and so Rapunzel lived alone in the tower. Days passed, then years. Her only comfort was singing. Her voice was soft and beautiful. It floated through the forest like music carried by the wind. One day, a prince rode through that forest. Suddenly, he heard the song. He stopped his horse and listened. The voice was so sweet and sad that it touched his heart. He searched for the singer, but the tower had no door. So he returned home, but he could not forget the voice. Every day, he came back to the forest just to listen. Then one evening, he saw something strange. An old woman walked to the tower and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me." Moments later, a long golden braid fell from the window. The prince watched in amazement as the woman climbed up. Now he knew the secret. The next evening, when darkness came, the prince walked to the tower and called out the same words. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me." The golden braid fell again. The prince climbed up. When Rapunzel saw him, she was terrified. She had never seen a man before, but the prince spoke kindly. He told her about the world outside the tower. He told her how her voice had filled his heart and brought him back to the forest again and again. Slowly, Rapunzel's fear disappeared. When the prince asked if she would marry him, she looked at his kind face and said yes. But there was a problem. She did not know how to escape the tower, so they made a plan. Each time the prince visited, he would bring a piece of silk. Rapunzel would weave the silk into a ladder. One day, the ladder would be long enough for her to climb down, and then they would ride away together. For a long time, the enchantress noticed nothing. But one day, Rapunzel made a mistake. While helping the enchantress climb up, she said innocently, "Dame Gothel, why are you so much heavier to pull up than the young prince?" The enchantress froze, her eyes burned with anger. "You wicked child," she shouted, "you have betrayed me." In a fury, she grabbed Rapunzel's beautiful hair. Snip, snap. With a pair of scissors, she cut off the golden braids. Then she sent Rapunzel far away to a lonely desert where the girl had to live in sadness and hardship. But the enchantress was not finished. She tied the cut hair to the tower window. That evening, the prince arrived and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me." The hair fell. He climbed up quickly, but instead of Rapunzel, he saw the enchantress. "Your beautiful bird is gone," she said cruelly. "You will never see her again." The prince was filled with despair. In his grief, he jumped from the tower. He survived the fall, but sharp thorns pierced his eyes. He became blind. For years, he wandered through forests and fields. He ate roots and berries and cried for the woman he loved. Then one day, far away in a desert, he heard a familiar voice. It was soft, beautiful, sad. He followed the sound, and there she was, Rapunzel. She ran into his arms and began to cry. 2 of her tears fell onto his eyes, and suddenly his sight returned. He could see again. The prince brought Rapunzel back to his kingdom. The people welcomed them with joy. And after so many years of sorrow, they finally lived together in peace and happiness.